What's going on, YouTube? I am Germ here, and today we're going to be talking about CS2 esports once again because there was some very, very big news. I see a cat going crazy in the background. There was some very, very big news coming out of that world today. I know I posted the heroic video yesterday. I'm going to make this video about the Navi and s1mple situation and a couple other small stories in the CS2 world today. I actually kind of like potentially going forward and mixing in some of this esports stuff onto the channel with some investing stuff as well. Ultimately, at the end of the day, the esports world and the investing world have a ton of overlap and really have a ton of impact on each other. Sometimes the esports world even has more impact on the investing world than like the game does, but really all three of those, form this nice little triangle of everything put together. I think it's a fun and interesting stuff to talk about, especially to kind of break up some of the monotony and during some of the slow and down times in the market like we're in right now. Definitely have plenty more investing content coming your guys' way, but I just constantly want to be trying stuff out on this channel, maybe seeing where we can find, some different stuff that people still do enjoy. But with that being said, this morning I woke up and I'm scrolling Twitter and I see this from Ryan at Dust2, and he said, Navi is now planning a life without s1mple. Now, I saw that Navi, the first post I saw was, I believe if I hit the back button I can find it here. Yeah, this is the first post that I saw from HLTV that said Navi close in on Wonderful signing. And originally, I thought that this was just going to be for some upcoming tournaments or something small. I didn't think this was really going to be that big of a deal because I know we've heard a ton of stuff from s1mple recently where, he was having some paperwork or some visa issues or whatever the heck was going on where he wasn't going to be able to play in some upcoming tournaments, maybe for the rest of the year or whatever was going on. Also, we know that s1mple seems like he's been a little bit tilted, maybe a little bit checked out recently, saying like, hey, CS2 shit, Valve needs to get their stuff together, all this different stuff. But I just kind of scrolled right past it. So I was just like, okay, yeah, they're getting a stand-in for a couple of tournaments. They're going to figure it out. s1mple's going to be back. Never really thought anything of it until we kind of get the updated thing. I didn't click on the article. I didn't read what was going on. Didn't really care that much. Didn't think it was that big of a deal until I saw this kind of alternate headline from Ryan at Dust2, who said Navi is now planning for a life without s1mple, which obviously reads and is much, much, much different than the previous post from HLTV. So let's see what's going on here. And it says Navi close in on Wonderful signing. Navi are lining up for a replacement for s1mple. Navi are in advanced talks to buy Wonderful out of his contract with Sprout. If the deal is finalized, the Ukrainian offer is expected to take s1mple's place on the Navi roster. The org has been exploring options to replace the superstar for the past several days, so this is all still pretty new. s1mple himself also said last week in a stream that he's not sure whether he will attend the next tournament, which is set to be the Blast Premier Fall Final, taking place on November 22nd through 26th in Copenhagen, which is still like a month away. Ever since he missed IEM Sydney over reported issues with his EU residency, s1mple has been the subject of many rumors, some of which linked him with the departure from the org, which, again, I didn't really know. I hadn't heard about that. I hadn't been following the situation super closely until now, but that is pretty interesting. However, HLTV currently has no indication that s1mple, who still has around 2 years left on his contract, which also seems to be a big deal, is close to joining another team. One source said that the 26-year-old is taking a break from competition. This follows s1mple's recent comments about Counter-Strike 2, which he called a shit game, and urged aspiring players to wait 3 months for the game to be fixed, which again would kind of make sense on the timeline of him just sitting out for the rest of the year and then getting back to things in 2024 when hopefully the game's in a better state and we are preparing for the Copenhagen Major. All of that would make a ton of sense, especially if s1mple is feeling a little bit tilted, a little bit burnt out, a little bit checked out, whatever. But this is all very, very interesting. Obviously, we don't know if we have seen s1mple play his last game for Navi, which would be very, very crazy. And we also don't know when we're going to see s1mple playing competitive Counter-Strike once again, because also in the article, it said he's not necessarily close to signing with another team. So this is all very, very crazy because obviously the end of CS was dominated, in part by ZywOo, especially at the Paris Major and stuff like that. But, the back half of CSGO was really the s1mple era where he was dominant. He was iconic. He was a god in the scene, sometimes a god that was very, very tough to overcome. And, obviously it was going to be interesting to see how his reign was going to last into CS2. We don't see players dominate always just indefinitely forever. So, no one is going to be shocked if a new player comes in and is able to compete with s1mple or pass him up or whatever early on, or maybe a decent amount of the way into CS2, but we never thought that we would never see s1mple again. We never thought that Paris would be s1mple's last major, and I don't expect it to be. I do think we'll see him back, maybe with Navi, maybe with a different team or whatever, but Orgs are obviously already out there, doing a little bit of recruiting. Obviously, like I said, we talked about the Heroic drama yesterday where they were, dealing with issues where they might be losing their entire roster. So now Heroic, they're shooting their shot where they said, yo, S1MPLE, you looking for a team, which I thought just pretty funny, pretty banger tweet. See what's going on there. But we actually got an update from S1MPLE himself. Obviously, it's always good to hear from the people themselves. So there can't be any confusion. There can't be anything, mistranslated or misunderstood or whatever. So I thought this was a really, really cool tweet and a really nice addition to the situation that I wanted to include in this video, where he says, so what's next? Time to take a break as I wanted, but that's only half of the story. Need to fix documents and take care of other people in my life. Obviously, you can assume that there is a ton going on in the life of S1MPLE, obviously, with all the different things going on around the world right now. A lot of things that are bigger than Counter-Strike. Very, very crazy stuff. Can't imagine the amount of stress and insanity going on all the time. So, obviously, if you need to fix documents, that's one story. If you need to take care of stuff in his life, that's a whole nother story. And again, it's kind of a weird time in CS2 where the game's not exactly in a perfect state, not in the best state possible, but there's also no major until, April of 2024 or whatever. You definitely have some time to get your life right and get your mind right and get ready for what could be a crazy 2024 for S1MPLE and whatever team he ends up on. So he says, about switching to another org, never thought about it, but would be interesting to see offers. Maybe on Rifle, since op a bit non-impactful in the new game. While nothing decided yet, I hope you still gonna cheer for boys in the upcoming tournament. While on break, I'll also be working on my own CS2 related project. Too soon to announce, but keep in touch. So I have no idea what that means. That sounds interesting. That sounds crazy. If S1MPLE is still going to be working on CS2 stuff, obviously that is a great sign. That's much better than him, just kind of leaving the scene entirely or whatever. But I did think it was also interesting in this statement that he says he never thought about a different team, but it would be interesting to see offers. So now that thought is in the back of his head, maybe of leaving Navi, especially. Obviously, they have signed his replacement. That doesn't mean if he wanted to come back that they wouldn't take him back. Obviously, they would. But it's also interesting here that he's still, the tilt that he has in his mind right now, the disdain he has for CS2 right now is still coming through in this tweet where he says maybe on Rifle since off a bit non-impactful in this game. Again, this game has been out for like a month. We have no idea what the meta is going to be. We have no idea how this game is going to twist and turn and shift. The fact that he's talking about switching off the off entirely and going to rifling, to me, it's just a little bit crazy and just shows that, maybe his mental state isn't entirely there. Obviously, he's never been known to be the most level-headed person in the world or anything like that, but I think it's a little bit crazy to be making decisions like that when Valve is literally changing the game on like a daily basis right now. I thought it was kind of funny, maybe a little bit interesting. I don't know. Hopefully he can get a little bit of a mental reset and come back strong. But yeah, that is what we hear from S1MPLE there. Obviously, how this is going to affect the investing world, who knows? It's going to be very, very interesting to see how strong of a team Navi is. Obviously, I think Navi is going to be just fine with or without S1MPLE. Yes, are they going to be a team that's competing for major titles without S1MPLE? Hey, probably not. But Navi, I do believe, is the only team in CS history to have a sticker at every single major. So, I do think that they're going to be okay without S1MPLE. And I don't think like, oh, Navi is not going to make it to Copenhagen, so the other Navi stickers are going to go crazy. Like, no, probably not. Navi's still probably going to be okay. They're probably still going to continue to have stickers coming out. But all these simple CSGO era stickers, especially his ones with Navi, now all of a sudden become very, very interesting. If he is done some of these stickers, I could see really going crazy. Obviously, simple stickers are already insane. People already love them. They've already done insanely well. But, especially some of the more iconic ones, some of the cooler ones, you may want to keep an eye on. I've heard some people say, hey, what if Team Liquid goes after S1MPLE? What if Cloud9 goes after S1MPLE? There's definitely some very, very cool and interesting options out there for him. Another really quick story I did want to touch on in this video, something I wouldn't make a whole individual video about, but still potentially a very, very cool story, is that Steel has been hinting at participation in Valve-partnered CS2 events for the coming year. Obviously, he has had a ban for quite some time, a lot of the CSGO era, stuff like that, but if Valve would be interested or willing to lift that ban in CS2, we could see Steel making a return to the Counter-Strike scene, which I think would be pretty cool. Obviously, who knows what kind of level he has in the CS2 world at this point, but I still think, he could probably be a capable player, at least for some team out there. I think this would be pretty cool. I think a lot of people would be excited to see this. I think enough time has passed, and I think it's probably about time that we let him back into the scene, so this would be pretty cool to see. Something I want to throw in real quick in this video as well, but obviously S1MPLE is the big story today, the main story, and the one stealing the show. We don't know exactly what's going to happen, but it does seem like he's taking a little bit of a break, maybe to leave Navi, maybe not, but these potential options are swirling in the air as CS2 kind of starts to take over the Counter-Strike world. Crazy stuff going on. But yeah, pretty much over this video today, guys. Hopefully I catch you in the next one. Until then, peace.